A little girl named Ava was playing with her toys one night. Her dad told her it was time for bed and to clean up her toys and go to bed. Ava did not clean up her toys, and when her dad saw this happening, he told her they would go to the park in the morning if she cleaned up. Ava then right away cleaned up her toys. Now Ava did hear her dad speaking to her, but she did not actually listen to the words that he was saying. This is an example of hearing something versus actually listening to the sound or words in this case. Today, I will talk to you about how we are able to hear sounds and the different types of listening. My first point I will be talking about is how we are allowed to hear. Hearing is a physiological response to sound waves that move through the air up to 760 miles per hour. When we receive the sound in our ears, it makes our eardrums vibrate. Then the sound is transformed into a nerve impulse so that our brain can recognize the sound. For the brain to realize what sound is being heard, auditory association needs to take place. This is when our auditory cortex recognizes that a sound has been heard and begins to process the sound by matching it to previously encountered sounds. An example of hearing but not listening is if you wake up suddenly because you heard a noise. That is just you hearing a noise. You are not listening for the noise. Hearing is unintentional. Now that you all know about how we hear sounds, I will now talk about listening and why it is important. Listening requires us to pay conscious attention. There are different types of listening such as appreciative, relational, therapeutic, and informational listening. All of these different listening types have specific purposes. First, appreciative. This is when we tune our attention in when we are hearing music play, poetry reading, a sitcom on our television, or actors in a play. This type of listening is for our pleasure. Relational is when we are in a group of our family or friends and we engage in building relationships with these people. Therapeutic is what therapists, counselors, and conflict meditators are trained in. Lastly, informational listening is when we are focused on receiving information from our teacher. There is also passive and active listening. Passive listening is when the person hears the words, but they are not sticking. And active can happen in the same situation, but the words the listener is hearing are not just being heard, but understood as well. And the message the speaker is getting across becomes clear to the listener. Lastly, according to the University of Minnesota, Duluth describes it as hearing is simply the act of perceiving sound by the ear. Listening, however, is something you consciously choose to do. Listening requires concentration so that your brain processes meaning from words and sentences. Listening leads to learning. Overall, today I talked to you about how we hear sounds and the different types of listening we have. Now that little girl definitely heard her dad, but she did not listen to the words he was saying until she thought there was a reason to. Thank you.